There we go, and we're live. Hi, and welcome to episode 200 of Invest in You. And you maybe don't recognize my voice anymore. I haven't been on the podcast for quite a while, maybe 100 episodes or something. But now we're on episode 200. We have a whole gang here. Dad and Ivan. Even the dog is in the background somewhere.
Yeah, so Mr. Dorsey has been with us since the very beginning. He is the dog. You might recall you've heard him in the background occasionally. I am dialing in from Asia, and for a change, I got both my two sons online and with me. I'm super happy and proud to reintroduce you to the gang. So, Charlie, who are you and what are you up to?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm right now. I'm in the Swedish Armed Forces, working as a technician in signals intelligence. It's very interesting. It's part of my military service, mandatory. I'm still very happy with the result. Getting to know my father a bit better, understanding how he became the man he is, and basically programming all the free time I have. That's my life right now.
All right, Ivan, over to you.
Yeah, what I'm doing right now. So right now I'm in the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences studying forestry. That's what I'm doing right now.
All right, great. And the reason why my phones go off here and now, maybe even during this recording, is like Charlie kind of hinted. I'm doing many things. One of the things I'm doing, which I've not been talking about at all, basically on the whole podcast for the last year, very much at the 1 year mark, where I've been helping United Nations out in Asia with military operations and manning up, take responsibility. And to date this episode for the future, today is the day where Donald Trump hit play in terms of attacking Iran strategic installations. So that means that today is 28th of February 2026. So what am I up to? I am building a pipeline of companies who would like to work with myself in terms of acquiring, think consulting for equity. So I look forward to help a number of companies to grow into the hundreds of millions over the next 1 to 3 years. So that's what I'm doing on the side. I have also been writing lots of books, more about that later. Now we'll take you down memory lane. So this episode will be a bit strange. We'll be all over the place sharing insights from 200 episodes, some personal stories. I hope that you will have something fun while listening to this, and also seeing what effort, action plus time actually compounds to something fantastic. So we'll share some show stats also throughout this episode as well, to show what just like not giving up can give in terms of results. So now we will rewind all the way back to 2017 March. So we talk about 9 years ago. Guys, where were we in the world and why were we there?
We were in Bali.
Yeah.
Doing Roger Hamilton's iLab.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. What was iLab? Because I know for sure it was not for young people.
No, it was very interesting. We were 11 and 12 years old, taking this course, interviewing people, pushing our boundaries outside our comfort, staying outside our comfort zone. It was very interesting.
Yeah. Now I remember way back when I decided to okay, I've been teaching my sons about entrepreneurship, but let's also add some external input as well. And let's not focus on my businesses, which I had like consulting as well as like real estate, but let's focus on doing something together. So we created an acronym JMBA. What was that?
It stands for Junior MBA,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
basically us teaching other people and in the process learning ourselves about the kind of skills you could learn in an MBA, but more fashioned towards teenagers, basically.
Exactly. But the cool thing there was that my ultimate reason for starting this podcast was to share a lot of the wealth of knowledge I had acquired, and also to getting Ivan and Charlie on board, meeting interesting people, and learning that even if you meet like someone really senior, like a CEO of a company, multimillionaire, or even billionaires that we've had on the podcast, they are humans. And it's okay to talk to them, even if you like massive respect. So I remember when we had like Grand Cardone episode 16. What can you remember from that chat? I was in a hotel lobby in like a 5-star hotel in London with Grand Cardone and his team, his pilot, Jared and his wife. And you guys, you were remote at the time, dialing in, but you also had the chance to bump into Grand Cardone later after that. Can you remember anything
Yeah,
from that conversation?
I remember one quote: "He who holds the gold has control."
Exactly. And do
That
you
stuck with me.
remember, we asked about this question we asked many times, like about the favorite office. Can you remember his office? So, like, he started to give an
I
explanation
can.
of his office, but it took a long while for you to connect. Why was that the case? Please, can you remember?
I think he explained that it was many miles up, but he
Yeah,
still had Wi-Fi and a bunch of other
exactly.
things. And I was really thinking, because there are no buildings in the world, there's no places higher than Mount Everest. Where was he? And then we realized it's in
Yeah,
his own private jet,
exactly. So that was his
Gulfstream.
favorite office. Absolutely great.
in his Gulf Stream.
Exactly. Why?
Mm.
Because you can. Yeah, so that was fun, funny
Yeah,
conversation. And we asked the other day, Ivan, we had uh, a fund manager who's got his own investment company.
Axel Merck.
Exactly. He's got like more than 5 billion asset under management. So again, some thoughts you can recall from that conversation, Ivan?
Um, the elite fund managers have access to similar information that we do. If we had the same connections, it's much more about their depth of research and the way they use their own brains, AI, and people to find information that maybe oftentimes is publicly available. It's not just about getting up to a certain level and insider trading and cheating. It's much more about having uh, a much more disciplined and broad and at the same time deep analysis than pretty much any retail investor
Mm.
ever has.
Yeah.
He went very deeply into so many things that had to do with the mining sector. And for me, who is invested in the mining sector, I'd realized that there are many factors I haven't even thought about. He was talking about permitting and different types of regulations and a bunch of other things that we don't even think about
Yeah.
as retail investors. So that's when I kind of noticed that this isn't just about getting to a certain level and then everything is going to solve itself for you. It's much more about you have to be on top of things. I was very impressed by his level of
Wow.
information. Yeah, so I was talking about Axel Merck and fund managers in general, and what I realized that I didn't really think about before was that there were so many standard deviations in depth of knowledge, and it was much more about him being a billionaire was much more about who he was and how incredible his efforts compounded over time have been, and how perfectly he's distributed his life's work. It's much more about that than how lucky he is
Mm.
and the places he is in and the people he talks to. It's much more about who he is, the reason why he is where he is.
Yeah, and pretty much everyone on this level, as soon as you reach like 10 million and beyond, people start to prioritize their life a lot to try to live the life, buy back time to a high degree. Why? Because it's doable on that time. And all of a sudden, health also becomes more and more important. We had so many guests, and a common theme is like everyone has been more fit than the normal average person. I'm not sure if you thought about that, but if you reflect, it's very much a common theme. If they're like early 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and even people into their 70s, they look really well for their age. Men and women. It's the same throughout that people invest in themselves, and that's also shining through when we talk about like what does invest mean to you. So often they talk about health, They might talk about mindset. They might talk about learning. And basically, everyone is reading. Everyone has now and then got some kind of coach or mentor or reading books as mentors and so on and so forth. Okay, back to our track. So 2017, we did our first recordings. Can you remember any of our very first guests already in Bali?
I can remember Paul Dunn
Yeah,
with B1G1.
yeah. No, he's
It was about
extraordinary. Yeah.
donating to charity with a part of his profits from his business, and I think he was selling a bunch of different types of things.
Yeah, so basically, he had been working with business throughout his life, really successful as a mentor, and now devoted his whole life together with his wife to try to give as much as possible by measuring number of impacts. So be one, give one. So basically, if you sell something, you give something away as an entrepreneur. So he has got many thousands of people giving away, probably getting close to 1 billion giveaways over the last decade, which is amazing. You might recall we also had like an interview on the beach. The audio didn't turn out great, but the location was really cool. You might not recall that. We were very impressed with him because he was a podcaster, one of the very first podcasts we had on the podcast. Okay, fast forward. Then we were in a place called Peterborough in England, and we did some interviews with, for example, Ray McLennan and Rob Moore. Who is Rob Moore?
Rob Moore is one of our big inspirations for podcasts. We attended his course in Peterborough. We already had a podcast by then, so we were slightly better than average, I would say. Joining the course, it was very, very fun.
Yeah, so he's a big property millionaire in the UK. I'm not sure if he's a billionaire yet, but if not, he's definitely on his way. And he has a huge podcast as well, the Disruptive Entrepreneur, which is epic. He's got even better guests than we've managed to get so far.
Indeed.
I would say.
And the cool thing, we share many guests with him.
Yeah, we do.
That's also a good sign that we do something right. All right, so from there we actually decided to invest more into the podcast as such. Instead of like doing it yourself, which we had done up to that stage, we actually decided to invest into like a podcasting studio. So people actually helping us with the editing, the uploading, and also the hosting. So that was one time when we moved from a company called Libsyn into another one, Omni Studios. And then later, we are still with the same podcasting studio after all the way since 2017 until now, where we are now, since relatively recently, hosted on Spotify instead. So someone asked me the other day, like, oh, how many followers do we have? How many downloads, etc. And I said, like, I honestly don't know. I stopped counting. And he was a little bit arrogant. Or maybe I interpreted his language as arrogant, and I thought like, oh, we really don't need you. We have lots of really good guests. I'm not begging for guests, so we have got really nice people coming to us and asking to be on the podcast. And for everyone who joins us, thank you. For those who don't, for whatever reason, thank you very much for asking. You should always ask, and you might get. So, parking that thought. Then the years just flew by. And unlike most businesses during COVID, we were not in a position where we needed to sell stuff. And I even like left my traditional job and many businesses during that time. So that meant that while most people were exploding in terms of content, we actually did less during COVID than most people. But now, after COVID, we have scaled up again and so on and so forth. So the last few years, even, one thing that we discussed worth mentioning as part of this has been like the discipline of doing things and accomplishment. So you've both been doing taekwondo since you were 4 years old, and you also both competed on national level in England as well as in Sweden. Can we just share some learnings from taekwondo as a discipline, a sport, a martial art, anything? Let's start with Charlie, strong black belt here.
Yeah, strong black belt. one thing I've thought about recently is that it's very similar to the military. So it's definitely prepared me for the military. You have different stances which you take. You take orders. Well, those are the things that I can come up with off the top of my head. It's very similar military.
You do physically challenging things on command and so on. So basically, Charlie started, and me as well, as young as we could stand on one leg. So that was a requirement to train taekwondo at that club. You needed to be old enough so that you could balance on one leg. And if you could do that, then you can kick. So that's when you started.
Yeah, initially I trained the whole summer when I was like 3 years old, I would say. I trained the whole summer practicing standing on one leg, and eventually I could do it, and then I could start with my big brother and doing taekwondo.
Yeah, and we've competed both in the UK and in Sweden, and I've competed even more than you, although we both competed a lot. So we fought. Do you want to share who you have fought, for example?
I would say I have a better track record in Korean fighting than my brother, because I've actually won a tournament before. In Västerås. I've fought many opponents, one of which was Maximilian Ibrahimovic, which is the son of a famous football player, Sweden's most famous football player. It was kind of cool. Unfortunately, he beat me. But it was a very valiant effort, I would say. It was a close match. He was more technical. I was more active, I would say.
Yeah. And I fought in the national championship 3 times, and I placed 3rd 1 time. And since then, I seriously considered last year making an effort to become number 1. But I've decided that I need to focus on my studies, and the effort required to be the best in the country is it's a full-time effort, and I don't have a full-time time right now. I would have to give up very many different things to achieve it. So I had to choose not to go for it, although I probably could do it, but I chose not to. And fighting has taught me a lot when it comes to discipline and
the fighting instinct. Also, taking part in tournaments makes you more competitive and actually want to win in life, which is a big learning from my side.
I mean, ultimately, it's really hard to imagine if you've never been in a fight on the street or in the ring, and or on the mat in this case. So it's very much like a gladiator. So you're going there with, ultimately, in theory, you could die if you're really unlucky, in theory. And there's like an audience of hundreds or even thousands of people, and all eyes are on you. And it's changed so quick, just like a little touch to the head and you're behind. And then you do the same back twice, and then now you got the upper hand. And it's really hard on your cardio and your technique and your stamina. So people who think like, oh, it's like just one round, like 90 seconds, like good luck. Try it yourself. So so some cardio lessons here, Charlie. Can you remember how you were able to have stamina to survive for not just like one match, but multiple in the same day? How did that work?
I think Ivan is more experienced in that. Maybe he wants to take that point.
Yeah, so I realized that the cardio was a weakness. So I researched different people, and I came up with David Goggins, of course, who is probably the worst or the best of them all, depending on how you see it. So he inspired me to start running, and I took it very seriously so that I could have the cardio to push extremely hard throughout the whole match, and it really helped me. And that was the year when I came 3rd in the national championship. Because of the cardio I had. So I was training at a really small club. I was barely sparring, so I was really behind on the technique, but I could still push so hard that I managed to get the 3rd spot anyway.
Yeah, no, I remember we had a couple of Navy SEALs on this podcast, and also way back the same year as Jacko had this breakthrough on Joe Rogan's podcast. I've been in communication with him ever since, but we have not got any dates right. Same with Goggins. I met him in London many years ago when he just launched his book, which was like many years ago now. Same thing there. Try to get them on the podcast. We're not succeeded yet. So yeah, it's really cool to those people you look up to. You can actually just try to pin them down and get them on your podcast. I'm saying that for people out there who think about starting a podcast, like why not? It opens so many doors. That
Yeah, it really does.
and also one cool thing I noticed when I started to work more and more with AI, the way that AI articulated invest in you is a platform. We got distribution and we are connecting people and opportunities and also they're just articulating what I've been doing for many years. We're not seeing it. So let's share some numbers for the podcast. I said roughly how many downloads we had just before we hit record. Can anyone recall?
1 million downloads.
Yeah, and how many countries?
But I don't remember.
Wasn't it like 150 countries?
Yeah, 155, and since then I lost track.
Wow.
Because we changed platform
Crazy.
too many times. And the same number of guests. I didn't tell that the stat before we hit record. So it's 131 specific guests. And many of the podcasts we had multiple guests, but I've just counted that as one guest. So for example, Charlie, you went to Harvard Business School and Harvard Law when I did negotiations training. I tried to smuggle him into the
Yeah.
room, but the professors refused. What did you do in the corridor instead?
I was grabbing students. That maybe sounds inappropriate, but trying to get them on the podcast, basically.
Yeah.
Interviewing them. That was scary to do, actually.
Yeah,
But it was
I mean, really cheeky, really cheeky. I mean,
really
cool
cheeky. We
people.
found some great inspirational guests.
Yeah, so one of the top sales guys from one of Berkshire Hathaway's companies inside there, he was one of the guys that you actually asked what was his best learning from the negotiations course. But you didn't know, I didn't tell you that he was one of Warren Buffett's top sales guys.
Wow.
And then
Did
we
you know
went
that before getting on the podcast?
Yeah. Yeah. We were put in the same group in the negotiations training, so I knew that, but I didn't tell you that detail before, actually, until now.
That's amazing.
And then we went to the MBA program at Harvard, potentially one of the best in the world. And same thing there, we just grabbed a couple of cool people in the corridor, like asked them like, what did you learn about case studies? And we did some funny, stupid videos with Charlie standing at like the front of the classroom at the podium and doing some funny, stupid comments. So yeah, that was a while ago.
Well, really shows you that you can speak to anyone. People
Yes.
are just people, basically. You don't have to idolize them. Don't have to be scared of them. You
Yes.
could treat them as humans, and if you humble yourself, you could meet some really cool people.
Yeah. So, Ivan, one thing I want both of you to do, and Ivan has done it, is to learn sales at an early age. And you went as far to like dedicate almost 1 year of your life to learn the cold phase of selling, basically door to door, taking appointments, creating appointments, and literally knocking yourself into, without knocking people down, into their own homes to talk about security and things like that. So we had a specific episode about sales, but why is sales so important for every entrepreneur listening to this episode?
Yeah, you can see it, for example, on Shark Tank, that the best business ideas with some of the smartest business managers or creators who don't have sales, the investors aren't even interested.
True.
So sales is behind having a reasonable product. It's probably the second most important part of business. And with sales, you can make close to infinite amounts of money, since you can sell different things. You can sell very big things. You can sell deals. You can sell yourself. You can sell investments.
Yeah, and nowadays you can even sell before you have a product,
Exactly.
physical product. You can take money in beforehand and then deliver the product, basically.
You can
So
raise capital.
Sales in some ways is more important than actually having a good product. But if you want to keep the sales rolling, then of course you have to deliver.
Yeah. So Surely you have found another infinite money glitch. You are learning about technology since many years in school and outside school. Uh, Software, which is really no limit to how much you can scale it. Can you elaborate a little bit why you still think there is a future where people actually can program a computer and
Yeah.
create digital products? Elaborate on that, what you've been up to the last 5 years.
Yeah, so I've been maybe not the last 5 years, but the last
It,
two,
it,
3 years I've been
it is.
programming a lot.
You forgot it. You studied it for 3 years and then now and then the year before that.
Perhaps, but specifically programming, I haven't been doing it for such a while. But
Yeah.
without being disrespectful to religions, you're kind of a god in the sense that you can implement anything. The only limit is your own skill. And the fun part is that you can acquire the skill very easily from just tutorials, from vibe coding using AI. You can implement some really, really cool things. And there are also so many free APIs, which are application interfaces, which basically you can implement other people's code. You could interface with so many cool online things. For example, right now I'm diving in to quantitative finance for the first time. I'm learning about how to get market information for free from Yahoo Finance, for instance.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So the sky's the limit. You can implement so many cool things. Like I'm building a portfolio website for myself. I've built a renderer for rendering a donut in my terminal just for fun. I'm almost done with implementing programming a computer inside of my computer for
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
As part of a course I studied at Royal Institute of Technology. Basically, implementing the low level gates, writing a compiler, the full computer system.
Yeah.
There's so many cool things you could do with programming, and again, it's so worth learning, and you can learn very quickly, basically. And I still see a future. I really do still see a future for programming, basically.
I completely agree.
But AI.
Another thing you've been playing around with has been simulations. So we might live in a simulation or not. I'm talking about when you did simulations on different outcomes for example, in that chess simulator that you did. So by simulating outcomes in your decision process, you can actually pick the best one. And that's also another way where how you can use AI. So just a short version, what was that chess thing you did and why did you do it? You remember which
It
one?
was yeah, I remember what you mean. It was a Knight's Tour program. It was my first program I wrote in Python. It is a program where you can basically you have a grid and you want to jump as in the knight piece in chess. You jump across all the squares trying to hit every square. But eventually you might trap yourself into a corner. You run out of squares and then it's game over. But I wrote a backtracking algorithm which could solve the Knight's Tour problem in any size, like 100 by 100 grid, still solve the problem, trying different scenarios. Whoops, I got stuck, going back, trying another one. That's kind of a simple version of AI. It's one of the first things you could learn when diving into AI, basically.
Yeah. So can you remember that the computer almost went like, "Urgh." You can almost feel like the processor just like slowed down and died.
Yeah, when you expanded the number of rows and columns to 1,000, then the computer wasn't too happy any longer, trying out billions of combinations.
Yeah,
It's too much.
billions of solutions and variations, and that's crazy. Yeah, I think that's really funny. Ivan, you have got another thread that you've been focusing a lot on for the last few years. For different reasons, we have a couple of trees in the family since generations, and Ivan would like to keep allowing those trees to live, most of them. Ivan, you've been studying forestry, forest management, and you also been doing a lot of hands-on with your grandfather and helping out and so on. So let's elaborate why it could forest and land be actual assets, and how could that work? And can you even have cash flow from land?
Yeah. So land is usually covered by earth, and it's supplied with sun energy. It's supplied with minerals from that earth. It's supplied with oxygen as well from the atmosphere, carbon dioxide, and which means that most land on Earth is a living, breathing thing, and most of the world's most productive lands are used to create food for us because it's the highest value use of that land. But then there's a lot of land which isn't good enough, basically, for us to create food from it. But there are other resources we can extract, and historically, the forest was just a place where you took stuff that you needed, like firewood and food. But nowadays, in developed countries, forests are actively managed so that they can grow as good as possible, and that so that you can, with fairly low risk methods, with as little resources put into it as possible, get back forest which grows really well, and so that you can create high quality forest products like timber, pulp, and bioenergy, and probably in the future different types of building materials, maybe even batteries and other things.
Yeah. So I'll elaborate on that. On the last podcast we had a guy from the US, Brandon. He is specializing on buying buying land cheap, and then just reselling it, and also creating money machines. So he might buy a piece of land for like $10,000, and he's selling it for 20,000, but over 5 years. So over 5 years, he will get like distribution with interest. So basically, he will get cash flow from buying land which he has not even paid for yet. Not bad.
That sounds like a very good.
There's so many cool money glitches to be found everywhere, and many of them have been uncovered on this podcast. I have collated 10 themes from all of these 200 episodes, including this one. We'll dive into each of those 10. And again, for the audience, I am not fair with my two sons here. They have not prepared for this podcast at all. We have not decided what to talk about, and hopefully that will not shine through too much. Okay, enough with confessions. So one and the highest thing that stood out throughout all guests basically is self-investment is the highest returning asset class. So many people have said like invest in yourself, like pretty much all of them in different ways and so on. So I have some notes, but would anyone like to elaborate on that statement why you should invest in yourself before I share some of my notes?
Yeah, so taking something from Alex Hormozy, who's a very interesting guy, and elaborating on it, he says that when you don't know what to do, you should build capacity. So if you're tired and you don't know what you're going to do, everything's really bad, you should go to bed early and wake up tomorrow refreshed. You should eat something good. You should, if you don't know what to do, you should do the most productive thing that you have figured out. So investing in you is about, without torturing yourself, trying to make really good decisions consistently, and following through when things are more difficult than planned, because unfortunately we can't foresee every single obstacle. So pretty much despite whatever you try, which I can relate to since I've tried multiple different difficult competitive things, almost everything you try is more difficult than when you first start. So a big part of investing in you is also not giving up.
Yeah. Charlie, would you like to add something to that, or?
Yeah, I thought a bit about doing the best move on chessboard when you don't know what to do. Reminds me of the military, where we say that you want to improve your stridsvärde, which is basically fighting capacity, which means that if you're a good soldier, you lie down when you have a chance. You eat food. You prepare. You
change your socks.
You change your socks. 90% of the military is changing your socks and cooking water and things like that.
Yeah.
So doing the best move on the chessboard, and oftentimes that could be sleeping or exercising.
Yeah, exercising as well is a really good investment.
Everything. It's a whole investing in yourself is so wide. It is anything from long knowledge to it's not just investing in physical assets, it is obviously investing in your body as well, and that is very easy to neglect.
And I think Andrew Tate's probably one of the best things he's ever said is it's also about it's related to this investing in yourself thing. It's about it's not always about taking the best possible action, because if you're really focused on finding the most optimal action, you're pretty much just wasting time thinking and energy thinking. So he says that you should probably think less, and you should probably work and do a lot more, and work a lot faster, because speed kills, basically. He always wants to get his website done the same day. He wants to get his social media growing immediately. He wants to make all his content right now. And where's that led him? Well, from starting on social media, despite getting banned on so many different platforms, he still became the most Googled man. I don't know which year that was, maybe 2022 or something. But still managed to become one of the most famous people in the world, which was his goal.
Yeah.
So I think he's taught me as well a lot of very interesting things.
Yeah, cool. So some of my thoughts around investing in yourself. So before wealth, before influence, before scale, there's a lot of internal things that needs to happen in your own mind. So you actually dare to do all of those things, and discipline is really core and key there. So you need to have emotional control, and you often need to change yourself. If you, for example, like, okay, I like to go from nothing to have $100,000. You need to change something, most likely, because you haven't done it yet in your whole life. And if you're at 100,000, well, you might want to reach 1 million. Often what took you to 100,000 will not take you to 1 million. And the same thing there, from 1 million to 10 million, same again. You have to unlearn to learn the next step. And it's exactly the same to the next step, from 10 million to 100 million and onwards to the billion. And the crazy thing now, there's so much billionaire stuff online, it's ridiculous. People do not understand the difference between 1 million and a billion. Charlie, you're a mathematician. What is really the biggest difference between 1 million and a billion here? Like, can you put some numbers or try to explain it? Because it's ridiculous. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. From 1 million to 1 billion, that's 1,000 times more. You could visualize a cube with the sides of length 10. So if you imagine 10 by 10 by 10 grid of squares in a cube, and that is how many times more a billion is than 1 million, basically.
Yeah. So again, it's so hard to fathom that most people will never, ever, ever in their life reach 1 million. And you need to do 1,000 times what basically no one can do.
Yeah,
That's one
Grant
reason
Cardone's
why-
3 times in a row.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one reason we've got roughly $3,000 billionaires in the world, to our best knowledge. There might be more in the criminal world, there might be more in China that are not disclosed, but again, give or take 3,000 billion. So it's a quite cool career goal. Many people are aiming for it, many people aiming without a route there. It is possible to break down, as explained to Ivan and Charlie previously, how to reach there in the fastest way. But we will not cover that here and now today. So, number one, invest in yourself. Let's dive into the next one. Again, this is winging it for the two guys on the other side in Sweden. Systems beat motivation is the statement. So, system beats motivation. Charlie, would you like to go first?
Let me think. Systems beats. Can you say it one more time? Systems beats
motivation.
Yeah, precisely. So, one thing I've noticed with my exercise is that regardless of what exercise regimen you do, the times that I have become the strongest, it goes in periods for me. The times I've become the strongest is not the times I'm most motivated. It is when I exercise the most regularly.
Charlie will pause there for 1 second.
So Charlie was just speaking on the value of systems, and that systems beat motivation over time. And it's pretty simple, and it's all about the value of the pre-made decision. So when you already make a decision and you then follow it, even if you don't feel like it, that builds the neural pathways associated with following that system. So when you do something multiple times, you build habits, and habits make it so that not doing your habit feels bad because it's unusual. So you can familiarize yourself with doing something uncomfortable by doing it consistently. So this applies to working out and other things that can be difficult. It can even apply to washing the dishes. If your habit is that you never have any dishes, leaving dishes on the sink will feel really bad. And it's the same thing in business and in sales. And if you build positive habits associated with difficult necessary actions, you exclude that moment, that mental fatigue of making a decision. Should I do this now or not? If you're used to just doing it, then it will be much easier for you.
I like to take it down memory lane. Again, this is off topic. This is not systems beat motivation, but it's related. So I was, for different reasons, Ivan's manager when he was working in sales. I was helping a global security company to sell more and better. And we went to a yellow house in the middle of nowhere in Gyttorp. And there was a really, really aggressive person opening the door. Can you remember what happened and how, if we left on good terms? Can you recall this crazy event? Or is
Yes, so the first door we ever knocked on was the most aggressive person I've ever seen in knocking doors. So probably one in 1,000 on the standard deviation curve of
yes.
of unpleasant people, most likely. So, but he probably was just having a really bad day and in general very unsatisfied with his life.
Yeah.
But we managed to leave on good terms by speaking to him about other things and not being intimidated, just accepting and speaking to him. And eventually he was in a better mood.
Yeah. He even gave us a referral to who we should talk to in the village.
Yeah, that's very, very impressive. I don't remember exactly how he did that, but I could probably identify the verbal and social cues now that I worked in sales myself. But that was right there in the beginning, so I was just intimidated.
Yeah, and shocked. Yeah, no, I see what you mean. Right, so a few words from my side in terms of systems beat motivation. So again, motivation can come and go. It's really hard to keep your motivation high really all the time. I think I'm one of those lucky people who can actually trick myself into being motivated for a long time, including now with being away from family for more than a year again, to stay on top of things. And this is here is a few examples on systems from our guests. So, for example, Daniel Priestley, he emphasizes the position of becoming oversubscribed, and he is also very good in terms of explaining his systems in his book. From oversubscribed to key person of influence to he's now up to his book number 6 about how you can become a lifestyle entrepreneur. And someone else again, Cardone's system is like, let's do it 10x or more, which means you can't think about how can we increase with like 10% this year. Like you need to ask yourself a very different question. How can I do 10x? That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Like how can I go from where I am now to more than 100x? And that brings me to a different solution, different systems, how to get there. John Lee Dumas, one of the original gangsters and godfathers of podcasting, he's got well over 1 billion downloads. He was sharing on our podcast how he jumped into his plane and evacuated Iraq when he was shot at from the ground. That story I don't think have been shared before on many thousands of podcast episodes. So that's somewhere in the backlog. So John Lee Dumas. Another cool guy, and what he's doing different, Simon Suchi, one person who really taught me a lot about property investment, which is real estate for you guys in America. He focused on having a controlled deal flow instead of like just random opportunities. That's an example of systems. So different industries, same logic, which means motivation can come and go, systems scale You can turn habits into routines, and so on and so forth. Right, guys, let's jump into the next one. Control is more powerful than ownership. We've been talking about this a lot. This is more advanced than just the normal entrepreneur stuff. Why can you be better off when you have control instead of ownership?
Well, if you're in control, you can arbitrage on increasing the value of something without taking as much personal risk. You risk your reputation, but you don't risk your own money.
Yeah. So let's take an example of being like all over social media. What does the Tate brothers say? Do they own stuff or do they control stuff?
Well, I think that they control a lot of things, but
yes,
they try to own things as well, but not in their name.
Yeah, which is ultimately controlling it instead of ownership. And the higher up you're on the scale of wealth, the more important control becomes instead of ownership. But linked to control is also delegation. You might control it, but you might delegate the day to day. So you take the strategic decisions and so on. So yeah, control can be really strategic in terms of things. So my next business model, I will not own everything. On the contrary, but I will control the growth of a large group. But I don't own all of it. There are like other people who own big parts of the whole, so we can grow faster together. Okay, attention is currency. Trust is equity. So what does attention mean in today's scrolling world? Ivan, you're the expert.
Yeah, so we live in an attention economy, and social media right now is pretty much equally as important as real life for a lot of people in terms of how much mental energy they put into it. So the better you can become and the more interesting you can become, the more attention you can gather, and the more you can make off of that in different ways. Not only by just ad revenue and things like that, but mainly just through the connections you get with powerful people and the deals you can make and the rooms you can be in by being one of these people with a lot of attention on them.
Yeah. And the second part of the sentence is trust is equity, which means like if you got trust, that is almost like a big equity stake, like real money. Trust is money in today's world. So we had a couple of guests I'd like to highlight here. So Zach Scriven, Eric Deckers, they're really strong in terms of marketing and copywriting. We also have like JD Vincent. So she did her first podcast ever with us. She had at the time like many millions of followers on TikTok and hundreds of millions of views of her content on TikTok. So she was one of the early people there. And then she just exploded, went from 0 people on LinkedIn to like tens of thousands in no time, applying the same strategies. So again, attention pays. But not everyone can monetize attention. So a like is worth very little. You need to be able to monetize that attention, whatever that might mean to you. And authentic positioning beats imitation. It's so easy right now. Too many people who got no business experience is talking about mergers and acquisitions. I was involved in the first deal going all the way to the stock market in 2006 in Stockholm. That was a while ago. So yeah, and if you see something on a YouTube video and you just repeat the same in your own video, it's not quite the same as people who've been doing this for decades who might have hundreds of deals under their belt. I'm just pointing something out here you can reflect on. Okay, let's do something else here, which I'm not sure who we will react best to this one, but failure is not a detour, it's part of the journey. What can that mean? Any failures that really help you move forward, any of you or none of you?
One thing I thought about programming is just failure times 1,000, debugging, solving issues. You learn a lot through failure.
Yeah.
It is so painfully obvious how every line of code you write, if you write it incorrectly, it won't work. Everything has to be correctly written for it to work. Same thing with chess. you have complete responsibility.
Yeah. Ivan, do you have a failure that's really brought you forward? It can be anything at all in life.
Probably getting kicked in the head, which gave me a years-long headache, and the realization that it's very important to keep your brain healthy.
Keep your guard
And
up.
it's dangerous. Combat sports are very dangerous,
Yes.
and reassessing the risk-reward of potentially professionally fighting.
Yes. Good point. Yeah, I mean, deals can fail, business can stall. You can have personal crisis. You can have something really happening in your life, which might mean that things changed for the worse. It's one thing. For example, my own parents, they are divorced when I was younger than you guys are at the moment. Divorce is in a way a failure. Can you come back from that or not? For full disclosure, I am married to Harriet, their mom, and we are living in different countries at the moment, but we are still happily married. So, yeah, let's jump into one of our guest thoughts on risk. So, Rob Morse talks about risk tolerance and shared losses before breakthroughs. And many psychologists that we also have had on the podcast, we've got one guy, John, he's got a podcast called Caveman. Like, I love it. It's like caveman. So there he talks about resilience under stress and not just giving up. And many men are suffering because they don't dare to talk about stuff like this. Another thing that I thought about when we talked about this is you're lucky if your parents dare to talk about money, or if you dare to talk money
Yeah.
on the kitchen table with your children, because then you can learn. All successful entrepreneurs I know, they talk about money in the property investment organizations I've been part of. We spoke about success and failure and specific numbers we can learn from each other's deals. And I learned so much from coaching and mentoring other people by seeing their deals. So I can just accelerate my learning by decades in a year just by seeing more deals. So any more reflection before we leave? Failure is not a detour.
For me, one failure point that I had was one of the last exams I had on my first year at Royal Institute of Technology. It was in computer systems. I was going successfully to start, and then unfortunately I started working instead of studying for final period. But what that has led to is that I'm building my own computer system from scratch, which is a perfect learning opportunity for programming and for understanding the full computer system. So in the end, once I take this exam again, I will ace it easily and it will go so much better.
Yeah, cool, perfect. All right, next one that I really, really like. It reads, compounding is a way of living. Compounding is a way of living. Why do I like compounding?
Well, I have a comment on that. Staying exactly where you are and growing, the difference between staying where you are and growing a bit, it isn't a massive effort. It's just a bit more. And if you can just do a bit more than you're comfortable with consistently, then you can get the compound growth
Yep.
in your life. So it works that way in the financial markets, that if you can just grow a little bit better consistently, you're going to be multiple times richer in the end across many years. And it probably works that way in life as well. If you just do more than you want to, you probably don't have to burn yourself out. But if you manage to surpass your own expectations of yourself consistently, you probably will end up significantly further along than you thought, because progress isn't linear. It's never linear. It's exponential up, and it's also exponential down oftentimes.
Yes. You've started to learn more and more about the markets and trading, again, learning about it. Why is it important with compounding in terms of having assets or losing assets on the theme that you just mentioned there?
Yeah, so compounding is this concept that growing $1 million by 10% is better than growing $100,000 by 10%, even though it's not much more difficult to grow $1 million by 10%. It's maybe a bit more difficult depending on what you invest in, but a lot of things are the same. So is there a part of the question I missed?
No, it's fine. But basically, the whole name of the podcast is ideally a way of compounding. So invest in you is compounding itself. So like you become smarter, you become faster, you become healthier, you become, or the opposite, you become dumber, you become heavier, you become weaker. It's just results of habits, what you do all day long. I will, for those of you who not come across the book yet, called Atomic Habits, I will link it.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact thing about getting 1% better each day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
exactly.
Many people have written about exactly the same thing. Even I've got a book which I'm not published yet, which is called Doubling.
Yeah.
And there I also have the concept of the 1%, which have been quoted by many people. For example, Darren Hardin, Nick Olson, and lately also with the Atomic Habits. All right, so let's take an example here.
And I have one thing.
Go ahead.
I have another thing to say as well. That's that in trading you can have a winning system, but you can still end up in drawdown and consistently losing many times in a row. And when you're in that drawdown, it's very common for a trader to want to switch his system and change it completely. But usually it's just a statistically guaranteed losing streak, just like he's going to get a statistically guaranteed winning streak in the future. So sticking to something that maybe is not working right now or it stopped working can oftentimes be a better move because you're learning during that period of losing, which will lead you into new periods of winning. Just like we just finished a little 2-week period of macroeconomics in school. We're focused on forestry, but we have to study other things as well. And we looked at the economic cycle. And of course, I already knew that the downturn, the down part of it, what's it called? A recession is necessary to kind of restart everything. It's part of the rebirth of the economy, and it's part of getting rid of certain ideas and certain companies which aren't actually producing a lot of value, and reallocating capital and rebalancing markets and things. It's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to talk a bit about drawdown and sticking to things.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out from Atomic Habits, 1% better a day for a full year means that you're 38 times better than you were originally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, compounding is great. I started a new habit since New Year to do like one set of 100 push-ups, and I have done it so far like 50 days, which is quite good, given my age.
Quite good.
I mean, ultimately, like, it takes a lot to do like a one set of 100 push-ups, but now I've done it. Like, I could rest on my laurels, just keep doing it every single day. It's just a choice. Yeah. Okay.
And you've actually beaten it as well.
I know. Yeah. I don't.
Now that you broke the mental limit.
No flex needed. So in terms of compounding, I try to flex anyway. You can use it outside finance. So basically, it could be your daily learning, it could be growing your network, it could be your social following, it could be publishing regularly, it can be improving your communication. You can invest in your physical and mental health. All of those are just small examples of compounding. And this show is a great example of exactly this. So we did 1 episode, and then we did 10, and then we did 50, and then now we are recording 200 as we speak. And in my world, in my mind, I'm just getting started. So this is just the foundation now, the first 200 episodes.
Yeah.
Just like keep going. I don't see any reason to stop.
There's so much more to speak on, and we have so much more to learn.
So many more people in the world to interview.
There's so many cool people out there that, like, we love to have the opportunity to share the message with you guys, the listeners. So yeah, excellent. Which leads on to that a community. You're part of a community by listening to this podcast, whether you know it or not. So next thing here is community multiplies individual effort.
Yeah.
So one more time, community multiplies individual effort. What could be an example of this?
So I need to make sure to charge my computer. I was thinking about Andrew Tate again and his brother. There is a lot to learn from them, and one of the most important things is the way that they work together.
Yeah.
So me and Charlie have taken some inspiration from that, that we may live together eventually, at least for certain periods of our life, and certain projects, things we are both interested in. If we work for it together, we can get more than double the result.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for instance, my technical background, together with my brother's background in agricultural science and also in trading, could together make a very interesting combination, I believe.
Good point. So some of my thinking here. So again, 155 plus countries, different time zones, different economies, different cultures. One thing is still the same. So entrepreneurs listening in right now, you will struggle with the cash flow someday. You might have some self-doubt. You might think about scaling. You might think about leadership, longevity. We just hope to pique your interest and to find like one thing in each episode that you can actually take and improve from. So ideally, we're not talking about theory here. I've been doing this and helping many companies to grow all over the world. I'm not coming from the aspect of theory, even if I got all academics to back up also what I'm talking about. So leaving that and moving into the next one here. Principles outlasting cycles. So again, there's one guy called Ray Dalio. He's got a book called Principles. I wrote a book a couple of years ago, which I didn't publish, which is all linked to principles as well. Again, I'm not trying to level with Ray Dalio. That's not what I'm saying at all here. But many things have changed over the last 9 years. Technologies have evolved. AI has accelerated. But many of the principles we discussed early 2018 are still as applicable today. So, for example, trust. It is evergreen. So I have listened into a couple of really old episodes over the last 2 years to see, like, do they still stand the time
Test of time.
And they do. Most of them really work really good, except like the very extremely few promotional things we've done, which have been very, very few over time. So yeah, do publish evergreen content. Why not? So trends can be loud, but principles are there quiet in the background. So right now, we have not mentioned it yet. I thought about mentioning it a second ago. You guys have not even seen my books that I published this year. I published 2 books. Do you know? Barely.
We don't.
The Abyss of Finance is one of them.
So yeah, so
I didn't know you
Abyss of
published it
Finance
already.
is one. Yeah. So I changed the front cover after a long conversation with Grok. That was really funny. I made it more neutral than the original. It's really fun. I asked unhinged.
Yeah, I've seen it with Grok.
Yeah. So
His Grok's unfiltered nature
yes.
is very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other one, which is called options strategy, basically how people have got different options in terms of selling their company. All right. Let's jump in here. So let's park that one. So really, principles can be about your own clarity, can be about execution, position, optionality, trust, structure, and so on. Next one is even more important than everything you said so far. Action is the ultimate separator. The doers from the non-doers. That's really where we see the huge difference in the world today. And that's really, if I summarize basically where we are right now, after 199 episodes, episode 200, information is everywhere. Doers and action takers reap all the rewards.
Yeah. Boom.
So that is very much the conclusion from the first 200 episodes, like do stuff. Don't just consume stuff. Be creator, not consumer. And that's something I shared with you guys since you were baby boys. And you have had your social media, you have like YouTubes, you have like viral videos, It might not be your focus at the moment, but you have seen the power of creation instead of just consumption. And consumption is so convenient because you can just like, well, I just keep learning and preparing, and that means you don't need to do the doing. Just plan and dig deeper. And like Ivan said earlier in this chat, like if you like to have it perfect, you probably will never ever do it. Okay, so now guys, we're going towards the end of this conversation here. I got a few more things to say, but before we kind of conclude, something you would like to share about anything at all, starting with Ivan, anything?
Yeah.
Or Charlie?
Not starting with Ivan, starting with
Starting
me.
with you.
In regards to creating, I've thought about this a lot.
Yes.
Also applies to my electrical engineering and projects. Just passively watching lectures won't get you anywhere. It is the actual projects that you do, which also can get you the jobs you want. In addition to that, is the actual things you'll remember, not
Yes.
just the lectures.
Yes.
It is the actual things you've created, what you have on your portfolio, basically.
Yeah. Ivan?
And me and a friend studying in university as well, a lot of the time we rate different periods with different teachers and different times by how much we had to do ourselves, because we noticed that when we can apply the knowledge in some way by problem solving using the knowledge that we've gained in real situations, we learn a lot more than when we just learn things without something to apply it to, because the brain is like, it's a bunch of hooks and a bunch of things, and you kind of need to hook everything in the right place for it to click. With just a bunch of information and no experience, you're not really going to know what you're supposed to do, which is why I'm taking a summer job in forestry, even though I have a bunch of other things I'd maybe rather do, but I know that it will accelerate my learning curve a lot, working with the same thing that I'm studying. And it's not just about the money, and it's not just about having that credential. It's also about getting much more intimate with how the industry works in everyday life.
Yeah. So guys, this whole episode has been a lot about what we've been up to, but also many of the conversations with the people all over the world. We are super grateful that you have been following our journey, whether you've been here now for the first time or you've been listening to us before. So more than 1 million downloads, and we are, like I said before, just getting started. Ivan and Charlie are young. This is a legacy project. 131 guests. I've already got six more guests booked. Under 55 countries, and we lost track of time. Again, the numbers is not the real story. The story is you, the listener. What actions did you do? It's so cool to get like DMs with people who've been taking action of what we've been sharing, or we have connected them with a really cool investor or someone else on the show. I really like that. And we often try to link you away from us. This podcast is not about us. Yes, you might do something with us in due time, but really it is about you, the listener. That we are doing it for you, really, because I believe in paying it forward. Could we write a book about these 200 episodes? For sure. Who knows in the future? Many of the thoughts and ideas have all been woven into the books that I've published already. So what does invest in you really mean? When I started Invest in You was about the audience. It was about Ivan and Charlie. That's why like the grammar is a little bit messed up. So from my point of view, I invest in you. So I invested many tens of thousands of dollars. I don't want to know how much in terms of this podcast, in terms of getting value to you, because one way or another it will come back. One opportunity is all coming back to me. One deal and it's all paid for. One referral is all paid for. So please help each other. We have started a few side projects to be able to connect with each other. Like for example, on school, I've got a dead community where you're welcome to talk to each other to check things out. So you might be a founder, investor, entrepreneur, or you're just curious to learn. You might be here because Ivan and Charlie are the same age as you. I don't care. I want you to pick up ideas, and I do care. So in terms of I do not care, is I don't care what level you're at. This is not a competition. I compete with myself. So assets or not, build assets. If you don't have any assets, you need to start somewhere, and that's cool. So I would like to say also a small disclaimer. What we are sharing here, what our guests are sharing, like we are in the edutainment industry, so we hope to educate you, but we also hope to entertain you with our guests. We are not giving financial advice. We are not giving investment advice. I am and have been like certified by government authorities, for example, in the UK, the FCA. I have been regulated to give advice. I have been giving advice to like some of the biggest companies in the world and earn hundreds of thousands from just those advice. But what we share here is, again, do your own due diligence, find your expert. We can also work with you offline. And there we can share the gold dust. But we can't do that on a completely open podcast because we don't want to mislead anyone. So you might or might not. Well, most of you, I can guarantee that most of you have never ever rated this show or give us any stars or recommendations. What I'd like you to do, if you want to, is share this with someone that may have might have some benefit from this in the end of the day. So really, I want to make this for your success because I think that is a cool thing to say. Ivan and Charlie, some closing words. Episode 200. We're going for the next 300 here now. So we're going to do another 100 plus, right? To start with the
Yeah, obviously, at least 1,000.
We're closing in on doing this podcast for half of our lifetime.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Not too far off. So, and I think there's a lot more to speak on. And as mine and Charlie's success compounds, we're still young. It will be very impressive and interesting to look back on.
Yeah.
All these podcasts.
Yeah. So the very first podcast icon we had on this podcast was done by Charlie in some kind of like paint tool. It was basically taken from our first interaction with really cool business people in Bali. It was Charlie says so often he said really cool and smart things. He was 11 years old, and in the room we had people all the way up to like more than 60 years old that they really hated their jobs. They like to become entrepreneurs. And Charlie became famous to be mic drop Charlie because he had so many smart comments that like took them by surprise. So that mic drop icon, we don't use it anymore. But Charlie, mic drop Sandvall, I'm so happy that you're on me today on this podcast. Ivan, same, super proud about you. And to the audience that survived this very long episode, please come back. We will share even more cool guests with you, and let's grow together. All the best.
Thank you.